What purpose does the gentleman from Michigan rise?
First, I would ask unanimous consent that all members may have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks on the legislation that we're about to undertake and to insert extraneous material on the bill.
Without objection.
And, Mr. Speaker, I would ask that the House be in order.
House will be in order.
Okay, now,
members take their conversations off the floor. Pursuant to House Resolution 236 and Rule 18, the Chair declares the House in the Committee of the Whole on the State of the Union for consideration of H.R. 1213. The Chair appoints the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Latourette, to preside over the Committee of the Whole.
The House is in the Committee of the Whole House on the State of the Union for the consideration of H.R. 1213, which the Clerk will report by title.
A bill to repeal mandatory funding provided to states in the Patient Protection and Affordable Care Act to establish American health benefits exchanges.
Pursuant to the rule, the bill is considered read the first time. The gentleman from Michigan, Mr. Upton, and the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Pallone, each will control 30 minutes. The Chair would ask for order. Chair recognizes the gentleman from Michigan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I yield myself such time as I may consume. Mr. Chairman, this bill is part of our effort to restore fiscal accountability to the federal government. In the rush to pass any kind of health care reform, the 111th Congress enacted a massive law, 2,000-some pages, that gave the Secretary of HHS unprecedented new authority. Although it got little attention at the time, one of those new powers is an unlimited tap on the federal treasury. Section 1311A of PPACA provides the Secretary of HHS a direct appropriation of sums as necessary for grants to states to facilitate the purchase of qualified health plans in newly created exchanges. Shockingly, the Congress gave an executive branch official the sole authority to determine the size of the appropriation. Without any further congressional action, the Secretary can literally spend hundreds of billions of dollars at the Department's discretion. The only real restriction on this unlimited appropriation is the Secretary's imagination. Given Washington's reckless fiscal habits, Americans concerned about record spending deficits and debt have much to fear from Section 1311A of PPACA. This unprecedented tap on the federal treasury should never have been granted to one individual. And given the huge uncertainty regarding PPACA, it certainly should not be continued now. 2 federal district courts have struck down the law. State AGs have asked for an expedited review of the litigation, but this administration has refused to let it happen. And as a result, the future of the law remains certainly murky. Both supporters and opponents should be able to agree that resolving the case expeditiously in the courts, the Supreme Court, is in the best interest of the country. But in the interim, we should not be spending billions of dollars of taxpayers' dollars on something that might never happen. Repealing the fund will protect precious taxpayer resources at a time of record red ink. Rampant spending on the federal credit card is unsustainable and certainly dangerous. And the federal government is now going to be borrowing 42 cents of every dollar for these grants. $58,000 every second. Just think about that. We're facing a $1.6 trillion deficit, and the President's budgets will nearly double the national debt from $14 trillion to $26 trillion. This program in PPACA is a prime example of the hidden costs of the health care law. While the program itself, remember, was billed as costing taxpayers $2 billion, CBO confirmed to us last week that repealing the program will reduce the deficit by $14 billion. That's because fewer Americans will be pushed into the exchanges and 1 million more Americans will retain their employer-provided health care coverage. This bill is about accountability to taxpayers and fiscal responsibility in the Congress, and I would urge my colleagues to support the bill that will reduce the deficit by $14 billion And at this point, Mr. Chairman, I would ask a unanimous consent that all of my remaining time be given to Dr. Burgess to manage the bill on the floor.
With that